The story opens with dramatic dialogue hinting at the death of a king and prince, leaving the kingdom vulnerable. There are concerns about potential invasions and civil war due to the lack of an heir to wield the royal scepter and its magic. Questions arise about who could have killed the king, given his powerful magic, suggesting a sinister plot. A mysterious narrator addresses the viewer directly, breaking the fourth wall. They discuss the nature of fantasy and its potential to affect reality. The narrator suggests that the story about to unfold may demonstrate how fantasy, born from hope and the desire to improve the world, can manifest change and forge a new reality. This philosophical musing sets the stage for the upcoming tale. The story moves to a scene with travelers discussing the king's death and increased monster activity. They encounter a group of bandits or militia demanding tribute. The situation escalates, revealing tensions between different groups or tribes in the kingdom. This segment introduces the setting, a land of 8 tribes and 3 nations blessed with magic, now facing uncertainty after the king's death. A tense scene unfolds where someone is about to be hanged for misusing an igniter. The crowd is unforgiving, highlighting the harsh justice system and social unrest. The narrative then shifts to a conversation between 2 characters, one of whom appears to be a prince with idealistic views about changing the kingdom. He speaks of wanting to be a hero and create a world where people's futures aren't determined by their birth or tribal purity. The story transitions to a battle scene at a northern border fort. A powerful enemy, possibly a monster or human, is attacking. The defenders struggle against its immense strength and healing abilities. In a critical moment, one of the main characters awakens a hidden power, described as the true spirit of a hero. This power is presented as the ability to transform fear into curiosity and pursue one's wishes boldly. A new character named Moore is introduced, describing himself as the author of a novel the protagonist has been reading. He offers an alliance and promises to provide knowledge, suggesting a meta-narrative element to the story. The scene then shifts to a confrontation, revealing a plot involving deliberate sacrifice of soldiers and villagers to discredit the kingdom's guard and pave the way for a savior to rise. The final segment culminates in a dramatic confrontation. A character named Leon Strohl de Hellas, the last of his noble bloodline, faces off against an antagonist who represents the harsh realities of their world. Leon awakens a power similar to the protagonist's earlier in the story. He vows to show his opponent a world with honor, setting the stage for a climactic battle that embodies the conflict between idealism and cynical realism. The scene opens with a tense confrontation. An antagonist threatens to turn someone to ash using an igniter, while his subordinates act as human shields. The protagonist vows to defeat the coward, recognizing that wielding the igniter requires care and calculation. They prepare for an impending battle, summoning their inner strength and royal power. An intense battle ensues. The protagonist calls upon their royal power and engages in fierce combat. They discover new strength and abilities, feeling empowered by the experience. The fight concludes with the protagonist emerging victorious, having tapped into unexpected reserves of power. In the aftermath, a character named Leon State reveals his true identity as a fallen noble. He recounts a tragic incident where his village was razed and help never arrived. Leon expresses his desire to join the protagonist's cause, seeking justice for the betrayal. The group accepts Leon, recognizing him as a valuable ally in their shared mission. A mysterious event transports the characters to an unfamiliar location. They encounter a fairy, a being thought to be extinct. The fairy explains the concept of archetypes, innate powers awakened by overcoming personal hardships. It's revealed that Leon has awakened to his archetype, further strengthening the group's bond and capabilities. The fairy elaborates on the nature of archetypes and their connection to personal identity and destiny. The protagonist and their companion affirm their deep bond and mutual trust. The fairy identifies itself as Gallica, keeper of the mage archetype, hinting at potential new powers the group may awaken through their strengthened connections. The scene shifts to a palace under attack. A loyal knight named Hythlodaeus attempts to protect his prince, but fails. The prince survives the initial assault, but falls victim to a powerful curse that leaves him in a comatose state. The kingdom's best healers are unable to wake him, setting the stage for the group's mission to lift the curse. The narrative jumps to a funeral scene for the king. A controversial figure named Luis challenges the established order, declaring the king's death a result of weak leadership. He presents evidence of a growing human threat to the kingdom, positioning himself as a strong alternative ruler. The atmosphere is tense with accusations of treason and power struggles. In a shocking turn of events, the spirit of the dead king, Hythlodaeus V, appears. He declares a reckoning to take place in 4 moons, where the person who earns the greatest faith of the citizenry will ascend to the throne. This proclamation sets off a political frenzy, with various candidates, including Luis and Forden, vying for popular support. The competition for the throne intensifies, with Luis positioning himself as a protector against the human threat. He uses a combination of promises and intimidation to sway public opinion. The protagonist and their allies attempt to intervene, but face resistance. The king's spirit reiterates the conditions for ascension, emphasizing that status or nobility will not determine the outcome. Luis consolidates his power, while his followers violently suppress opposition. A sinister plan involving the cathedral and the accumulation of magical energy is revealed. The protagonist and their group find themselves in a desperate situation, facing both political machinations and supernatural threats. A character named Alice experiences a moment of crisis, questioning their motivations and past actions. The truth about the cursed prince's survival is revealed, giving Alice renewed purpose. This leads to a profound personal transformation, with Alice awakening to their true identity as Isenbelli Mel Hulkenberg, a royal knight commander. The newly awakened Isenbelli pledges to fight for justice and to free Alice in the name of their liege. The resonance between awakened archetypes creates a surge of power. The group prepares for a climactic battle, drawing upon their combined strengths and newfound abilities to face the challenges ahead. A powerful incantation is invoked, calling upon royal power with no holds barred. There are mentions of protecting Maria and His Royal Highness, as well as safeguarding the royal scepter, described as a divine relic and the progenitor of all igniters. The scepter is said to embody the faith of the people and can only be wielded by a true protector. This sets the stage for Lord Luis's assured victory, with plans for a calamitous event that will force people to beg for his salvation. A confrontation unfolds regarding the whereabouts of the royal scepter. The fallen king is said to be protecting it, putting it beyond reach for now. A character, possibly Zorba, is confronted about his past actions and current state. There's mention of a knight with blood-red traits, possibly referring to a failed attempt to protect the prince. The scene escalates as Zorba declares his intention to bring change through fear, leading to a battle. The power to control the dead is revealed, setting up an intense confrontation. An intense battle sequence unfolds, with various characters using their unique abilities and strengths. There are mentions of fire magic, sword techniques, and strategic maneuvers. The fight appears to be against a formidable foe, possibly Zorba, who can control the dead. The battle is fierce, with characters encouraging each other and striking at the enemy's weaknesses. The scene is filled with action and tension as the heroes work together to overcome their powerful adversary. The battle continues with increasing intensity. There are references to desecrating the cathedral, plundering graves, and taking innocent lives. The antagonist, possibly Zorba, is confronted about his loyalty to Lord Luis and his motivations. He reveals a history of being part of a marginalized group, feeling cheated and abused by society. This provides insight into his actions, though they are still condemned as atrocities. The scene culminates in a mysterious action by Zorba, possibly sacrificing himself to unleash a greater threat. A new threat emerges, a monstrous creature, possibly reanimated, that poses a grave danger to the city. The characters realize this might have been Zorba's plan all along. They resolve to stop the creature at all costs to prevent catastrophic damage to the city. A strategy is devised to attack the creature's heart, which is positioned high up. The plan involves knocking the creature down to bring its vulnerable point within reach. This sets the stage for an epic battle against a colossal foe. The battle against the giant creature intensifies. The characters employ various tactics, including magic and physical attacks. They discover that the creature can regenerate its protective shell and focus on destroying the part responsible for this regeneration. The fight is challenging, requiring teamwork and strategy. Soldiers are mentioned as providing support or possibly posing an additional challenge. The scene is dynamic, with the characters adapting their approach as they learn more about their formidable opponent. The battle concludes, but victory comes at a cost. The characters reflect on their losses, particularly the death of Grius. There's a sense of guilt and powerlessness, especially regarding unfulfilled promises. However, there's also recognition of the sacrifices made and their importance. The scene shifts to show the impact of their actions on civilians, who express gratitude and newfound hope. This moment of reflection highlights the complex emotions following a hard-fought battle and its wider implications for the kingdom. The narrative shifts to the announcement of a tournament for the throne. This event marks a significant change, as the crown is now open for anyone to claim through 3 challenging trials. The tournament will take place across different locations, each with its own test. The first challenge in Port B Haven requires bringing back a monster's head. The second is in Altaberry Heights, and the final challenge returns to Grand Trad. Various contenders are introduced, including Sanctus, who speaks of restoring order and safeguarding the land. The absence of Count Louise from the competition is noted, causing concern among his supporters. The scene opens with the introduction of candidates vying for the throne. Notable contenders include Roger Ward, Rudolph Krauss, Lena Caden, Lawless, and Milo Maurizio. An unexpected Elden candidate appears, arriving dramatically on a landrunner that nearly crashes into the cathedral. This bold entrance impresses the crowd, setting the stage for an exciting competition. The race across the land begins, with candidates urged to prove themselves worthy of the crown. As the race progresses, the terrain shifts from desert to lush greenery. The journey is interrupted by a cannonade, revealing a conflict between prominent candidates. 2 figures, identified as Dufferin's confidant and Luis's man Gladel, engage in aggressive tactics to eliminate opponents from the race. Their clash demonstrates the high stakes and ruthless nature of the competition. A crier is present, acting as a witness to this high-level conflict. The protagonists decide to intervene in the ongoing battle, despite the risk of petrification magic. They engage in combat with a powerful opponent who wields ice magic. The fight intensifies as the enemy, representing the faith of Sanctus, unleashes increasingly powerful attacks. The protagonists struggle against their opponent's apparent invulnerability, but continue to resist, showcasing their determination and teamwork in the face of a formidable adversary. Following the intense battle, the protagonists encounter another candidate who expresses curiosity about their motivations for entering the competition. This interaction presents an opportunity for the protagonists to potentially gain an ally. The conversation is interrupted by the sudden appearance of a mysterious figure, later revealed to be Hys, a member of the Yef tribe and a former knight of the Shadow Guard. Hys, initially hostile, engages the protagonists in combat. He displays impressive skills, including the use of mirage arts. The battle is challenging, with Hys employing various tactics and illusions. Despite his prowess, the protagonists manage to hold their own, demonstrating their growing abilities and teamwork. The fight concludes with Hys acknowledging their strength and unique powers, particularly their ability to cast spells without igniters. Post-battle, a discussion ensues about Heiss's true nature and the accusations against him. Heiss denies kidnapping people from the castle town, citing the impracticality of such an act. He reveals his background as a disgraced knight, condemned by the Sanks and stripped of his titles. The protagonists begin to question the veracity of the charges against Heiss, contemplating the possibility of a deeper conspiracy involving the Guard Corps or other parties. The narrative takes a spiritual turn as Heiss experiences a moment of introspection and awakening. He acknowledges his past mistakes and chooses to move forward, embracing a new path. This transformation is accompanied by the awakening of a new power within Heiss, reminiscent of the protagonist's own abilities. The group prepares to face a new challenge together, with Heiss now fighting alongside them. A monstrous entity, initially mistaken for a baby, is revealed to be the child Heiss had mentioned earlier. This creature, displaying cannibalistic tendencies, devours a man named Morris. The true nature of the kidnappings and Heiss's involvement becomes clear, presenting a moral dilemma and a new threat for the protagonist to confront. The scene opens with a chilling monologue, revealing a disturbed individual's perspective on the world. They view people as fearful, superstitious creatures deserving death. The speaker justifies their actions, claiming to have done nothing that hasn't been done to them. They express a twisted form of maternal love, nurturing what they call their child. This unsettling narrative sets a dark tone, hinting at past trauma and a warped worldview that has led to horrific acts. The dialogue continues, revealing more about the speaker's actions. They have kidnapped and murdered children, attempting to blame others for their crimes. Despite the horrific nature of these acts, there's an attempt to understand the perpetrator's motivations. The speaker's actions are rooted in the unbearable grief of losing a child, leading to madness and a distorted sense of reality. There's a call for the perpetrator to confront their darkness and return to reality, recognizing that their child is not what they believe it to be. The scene intensifies as the perpetrator rejects attempts at reason. They view themselves as beyond justice, seeing their actions as an expression of grief and darkness. The dialogue suggests a confrontation, with the perpetrator goading others to show their hatred. A disturbing element is introduced as the perpetrator speaks to their child, encouraging it to eat the people present. This moment likely represents the climax of the horror, revealing the true nature of the child and the fate of the disappeared victims. The narrative shifts to a battle scene. A group, led by a captain, is fighting to end the horror they've encountered. They face a formidable opponent, possibly the child mentioned earlier. The battle is intense, with various characters using different abilities and strategies. There's a focus on targeting the creature's eyes, suggesting it's a large, monstrous entity. The fighters show determination to end the nightmare, regardless of the cost. The battle continues with increased intensity. The fighters use various attacks, including fire and wind-based abilities. They coordinate their efforts, aiming for the creature's weak points and trying to blind it. The creature proves resilient, surviving multiple attacks. The fight is challenging, with the combatants encouraging each other and strategizing on the fly. There's a sense of desperation, but also determination to overcome this threat. As the battle progresses, a new element is introduced. The creature's mother appears, offering it magic and healing. This development complicates the fight, making the creature even more formidable. The fighters continue their assault, adapting their strategy to the changing situation. They remain focused on key targets like the creature's eyes, trying to disorient it and gain an advantage. The intense battle reaches its conclusion. The fighters, despite facing a powerful and persistent foe, manage to overcome the creature. In the aftermath, a poignant backstory is revealed. One of the characters shares a tragic tale of losing their child to violence and prejudice. This personal history provides context for their actions and mindset, highlighting themes of grief, isolation, and the search for meaning in the face of overwhelming loss. The narrative shifts to the aftermath of the conflict. The characters grapple with how to handle the evidence of what transpired, considering the potential political and social implications. A character offers to confess publicly to the events, seeking atonement for their actions. This decision is weighed carefully, considering the potential consequences and the impact on the local community. The scene emphasizes themes of responsibility, redemption, and the complex nature of justice in the face of tragedy. The setting changes dramatically as the characters reach a new location, possibly a coastal city. The description of the vast ocean and the contrast with their previous environment suggests a significant journey and a potential new chapter in their story. This moment of wonder and relief provides a brief respite from the intense events that preceded it. The narrative takes another turn as a new conflict emerges. A character named Gladel reveals themselves as a traitor, having set a trap for the protagonists. Gladel demonstrates the ability to control a dog transformed by melancholia, showcasing a hidden talent. Their motivations are rooted in feelings of inadequacy and a desire for power and recognition. This confrontation sets the stage for a new battle, with high stakes and personal animosity driving the conflict. The confrontation with Gladel escalates into a full-fledged battle. The fighters face a challenging situation due to Gladel's status and apparent invincibility granted by royal magic. However, a twist occurs when one character demonstrates the ability to nullify this advantage. The battle becomes a test of skill and determination, with themes of loyalty, ambition, and the nature of true strength coming to the fore. The battle intensifies as new powers and abilities are revealed. A character demonstrates the power of song, tapping into a force called an archetype. This development changes the dynamics of the fight, introducing elements of myth and ancient power into the conflict. The confrontation becomes not just a physical battle, but also a clash of wills and ideologies. The final moments of the battle are described in intense detail. The fighters coordinate their attacks, targeting weaknesses and supporting each other. Despite the challenge, they begin to gain the upper hand against Gladel and his transformed dog, Hector. A tense confrontation unfolds as someone begs for their life, promising silence about an intrusion. The group debates what to do, concerned about potential consequences. Suddenly, the situation escalates dramatically, with the future king struggling to breathe. The scene suggests a magical intervention that protects some while harming others. The aftermath of the confrontation is discussed, with explanations given about an intruder in private quarters and an unexpected takeoff. The group attempts to justify their actions and the death that occurred, attributing it to the king's magic. They frame the events as self-defense against an attack, spinning a narrative to explain the situation to others. The conversation continues as the group refines their story, addressing potential doubts and inconsistencies. They discuss a traitor in their midst and their intentions to catch them. Lady Juna's involvement is mentioned, with suggestive undertones about an examination she received. The group decides to report the incident and leave the scene, with tensions evident among them. The narrative shifts to a competition update, revealing the standings of candidates vying for the throne. Sancti affect foreign leads, followed by unexpected contenders. The competition's impact on social dynamics is discussed, with mentions of changing power structures and rising stars. The diversity of the remaining candidates is noted, including surprise entries from various backgrounds. The scene abruptly changes to an intense battle against a formidable creature, possibly the guardian of a divine relic. The fighters employ various strategies, targeting the creature's limbs and using magical attacks. The battle is chaotic, with team members getting injured and requiring healing. Despite the challenges, the group perseveres, showcasing their determination and teamwork. The narrative jumps to a new location, possibly on an island, where characters discover drinkable water. They encounter locals, including a priestess, leading to a tense confrontation. A dragon appears, seemingly possessed or controlled by a human. The situation escalates into a battle, with moral dilemmas arising about fighting what appears to be a god. A profound moment occurs as a character, likely the priestess, grapples with her purpose and faith. She is challenged to reconsider her beliefs and find a new path. After an internal struggle, she chooses to fight alongside the others to protect her people and island, rather than sacrificing herself. This decision marks a significant character development and shift in allegiance. The group prepares for battle against the possessed dragon god. They formulate a strategy to separate the controlling human from the dragon. The priestess, having found her resolve, joins the fight. The team unites, emphasizing their collective strength and determination to save both the dragon god and the island's people. A battle unfolds, with participants using fire-based attacks and striking with conviction. They demonstrate fancy footwork and coordinate their efforts, encouraging each other as they face their opponent. The fight is intense, with the combatants striving to take down their enemy's body. Despite the enemy's resilience, the group perseveres, determined to emerge victorious. The battle concludes satisfactorily, with participants feeling stronger and aiming for greater heights. The dragon god has returned to its sacred vessel, a lance known as Draco's Lance. This relic, once rusty, now gleams. It's revealed that dragons are not mere magical beasts, but manifestations of pure magla. The speaker reflects on past research and calamities, suggesting they may not be caused by the dragon god's wrath, but perhaps by human influence or the temple's melancholia. The group encounters a monster that seems to embody the living past of the Mystari people. They discuss how the Mystari reject the outside world, clinging to their god in times of adversity. The speaker suggests that their own hearts might be the source of magic and suffering. A new power, an archetype, has awakened within someone, revealing a different perspective on the priestess's duty. The role of the dragon god dwelling within a lance is questioned, challenging previous assumptions. The group prepares to return to their village with unresolved business regarding the lance. They encounter a massive floating structure called the monolith, described in sacred texts as shaped by God's hand. As they approach their destination, they secure an escape route via a giant chandelier. Time is running short, and they prepare for a crucial moment, likely involving a performance by June's song. A tense moment unfolds as someone prepares for a critical action, focusing intently on their single opportunity to succeed. The atmosphere is charged with anticipation and the weight of the impending task. A performance, possibly musical, takes place. The mood is intense and emotional, with references to shadows and breaking through barriers. The performance seems to hold great significance for the ongoing events. An unexpected turn of events occurs as a plan fails to work as intended. The kingdom songstress Juna has performed, but the desired outcome is not achieved. A confrontation ensues, revealing deceptions and true allegiances. A powerful figure, possibly royalty, expresses disappointment in the failed attempt against them and offers a final chance for words before potential execution. Juna declares her freedom from captivity, aligning herself with the opposition. A tense standoff occurs, with participants preparing for a crucial conversation or confrontation. The atmosphere is charged with anticipation and the weight of unspoken truths. A duel is proposed, accepted by a powerful figure who has long awaited such a challenge. The confrontation is seen as fated, with high stakes involved. The challenger declares themselves a hero against evil, while the opponent, Luis Byrne, claims to be the rightful king, aiming to forge a utopia. Both parties prepare for a life-or-death battle to determine the truth and future of their country. An intense battle commences between the challenger and Luis Byrne. The fight is fierce, with both sides using powerful attacks and demonstrating great skill. Fire-based abilities are prominently featured, and the combatants encourage each other to fight with all their strength. The battle is a test of not just physical prowess, but also of will and conviction. The battle continues with increasing intensity. The challenger shows unexpected strength, surprising Luis Guibern. Both fighters feel their power growing as the fight progresses. Despite the fierce combat, Luis remains resilient, acknowledging the skill of his opponent, but suggesting that it may not be enough to defeat him. The battle reaches a critical point. Luis questions his opponent's motives for wanting to kill him, suggesting a deeper history between them. The challenger's response implies a connection to a previous intrusion and a search for a formula. The outcome of the battle hangs in the balance as both sides push themselves to their limits. Luis Guibern is defeated and killed, pierced by a lance. The victors discuss their next steps, concerned about the implications of Luis's death and the fate of the lance. They debate whether to reveal their role in his demise and how to handle the powerful relic. The group must navigate a complex political situation while dealing with the immediate aftermath of their actions. The death of Luis Guibern is confirmed, and the lance used to kill him is identified as a divine relic. The group responsible for his death reveals themselves, explaining their motives and past connections to Luis. They justify their actions as bringing justice for past crimes, including the destruction of a hometown and other offenses against the kingdom. The group's explanation for killing Luis is accepted by religious authorities. Their actions are recognized as executing a rebel, bringing peace to the kingdom. The divine relic, the lance, is confiscated by the church for safekeeping. However, tensions rise as accusations of treason and assassination attempts surface, revealing deeper political machinations at play. A dramatic turn of events occurs as religious authorities are accused of treason and orchestrating the attack on the royal prince. The situation escalates quickly, with threats of execution and claims to the throne. The effectiveness of a supposed curse on the prince is questioned, suggesting further complexities in the ongoing power struggle. The confrontation reaches a climax as a mysterious figure interrupts, questioning the identity of Forden. This unexpected appearance throws the proceedings into chaos, potentially upending the political landscape and revealing new layers to the ongoing conflict. A confrontation unfolds between two characters, with one claiming to have survived and vowing to finish a job. The speaker accuses the other of sins and declares that hell awaits them. A revelation occurs regarding a counterfeit lance, exposing deception and challenging the legitimacy of someone's authority. The scene is tense, with threats of divine punishment and accusations of being a snake. Lord Louis is revealed to be alive, shocking those present. He accuses Forden of being the mastermind behind the prince's assassination and of attempting to usurp the throne. Louis claims to have passed judgment on Forden, declaring him unfit to rule due to a tainted sank effect. The cancellation of a ritual is announced, and the crowd is left confused and speechless by these unexpected turns of events. Louis explains how he survived what was believed to be a fatal attack. He reveals that he had planned for the possibility of needing to fake his death using an infiltrator named Zorba. Despite being pierced by a lance, Louis survived due to the precise nature of the wound and his knowledge of mortal anatomy. He describes how he deceived both Forden and his followers, allowing for a dramatic reveal of his survival. The plan to fake Louis' death is further elaborated. A character, possibly a healer, explains how they proclaimed Louis' death to deceive Forden and his followers, then magically regenerated Louis' flesh overnight. The speaker emphasizes that only a fool would have expected Louis to die in such circumstances. Louis chose to delay his emergence for dramatic effect, orchestrating a fitting death for his enemy on a day of celebration. Louis reveals that he had been aware of and ahead of his enemy's plans all along. He explains how he swapped out a counterfeit lance during an inspection, always intending for Forden to die by his hand. Louis asserts that power is the only true arbiter, pointing to Ford's death and his possession of the lance as proof of his success. He taunts his opponents for their desperation and failed attempts to lift a curse or kill him. The scene becomes chaotic as Louis continues to taunt and threaten those around him. There are pleas for mercy and attempts to stop him. The Sancta, previously united, begin to flee, abandoning their flock. Someone tries to intervene, but Louis remains in control of the situation, demonstrating his power and ruthlessness. A confrontation occurs, with someone attempting to protect others from Louis. The protector questions the value Louis places on human life and power. Louis seems unmoved, viewing the act of protection as a sign of weakness or foolishness. The scene is tense, with implications of violence and moral conflict. A character reflects on their past beliefs about power and its ability to take whatever one wants in life. They realize the importance of protecting the weak and apologize for their previous mindset. The scene is emotional, with suggestions of injury or fatality. There's a sense of regret and a shift in perspective about strength and responsibility. The conflict escalates as Louis continues to demonstrate his ruthlessness. He is criticized for his cold-blooded nature and disregard for human life. Someone expresses disappointment, having previously seen Louis as a potential hope for positive change. They accuse him of perpetuating discrimination and meaningless violence, contrary to their initial expectations of him as a leader. The confrontation reaches a critical point. Louis is denounced as a cold-blooded killer who feels no remorse. Guards are called to seize alleged criminals, though there are protests of innocence. Some characters decide to flee, while others struggle with the decision to stay and fight or escape. There's a sense of chaos and urgency as the situation deteriorates. As some characters flee, others reflect on recent events and their consequences. There's a mix of grief, anger, and determination. A character makes a decision to lead, feeling entrusted with a chance they must not waste. The scene suggests a turning point, with characters choosing paths forward in the aftermath of tragedy and betrayal. A character awakens, possibly from unconsciousness or a vision. They are greeted and informed of recent events. There's mention of a maga flowing through someone, suggesting a magical or supernatural element. The scene has a solemn tone, with references to grief and choosing noble paths forward. There's an emphasis on overcoming fears and insecurities. A character regains consciousness, causing relief in others. There's mention of a power similar to maga flowing through someone named Basilio. People gather to pay respects, possibly for a fallen comrade. The atmosphere is a mix of gratitude, reflection, and a tentative hope that the world might not be as bad as previously thought. A new character enters, criticizing the ongoing conflicts as pointless. They propose bringing truth to a competition, challenging the legitimacy of the current system and the teachings of the Sanctus Church. The newcomer argues that the world is lawless and that efforts to maintain order have failed. They advocate for judging individuals solely on their abilities, suggesting a radical change in how power and leadership are determined. The discussion continues about the nature of power and leadership. The newcomer, likely Louis, proposes removing restrictions on violence in the competition for the throne. He possesses a powerful relic, the lance, but chooses not to use it, preferring to win through skill alone. This stance is seen as characteristic of Louis, inspiring both admiration and skepticism. The king is challenged to reconsider the rules of succession. Louis' motivations and character are questioned. Despite having a powerful advantage with the lance, he chooses not to use it, adhering to his principles of fair competition. This decision is met with a mix of admiration and disbelief. The king is pressured to respond to Louis' challenge and the potential threat of anarchy. The situation is tense, with the fate of the nation hanging in the balance. Louis continues to challenge the current system, arguing for a trial of strength without magical protection. He criticizes the king's inability to address the nation's problems and offers himself as a solution to restore balance. The king reluctantly agrees to remove his protective magic, setting the stage for a potentially violent contest for the throne. The scene is charged with anticipation and the promise of significant change. The scene abruptly shifts, with characters finding themselves in a precarious position, possibly on a cliff edge. They face a dire situation with limited options for escape. There's discussion of using flight or teleportation to save themselves, highlighting the desperation of their circumstances. The group must quickly decide on a course of action to survive. The characters decide to attempt flight as their means of escape. There's tension and uncertainty about the plan's success, with acknowledgement of the high stakes. Failure means death for all. Despite the risks, they agree to trust in the technology or magic that will allow them to fly. The scene is filled with anticipation and the hope of achieving something previously thought impossible. The flight plan is successfully executed, with the characters amazed at their ability to fly. There's a sense of exhilaration and triumph as they soar through the sky, defying gravity and their previous limitations. The achievement is particularly significant for one character, possibly the inventor or mastermind behind the flying technology. The moment is one of joy and wonder at their newfound freedom and capability. As the characters revel in their successful flight, the scene shifts to a confrontation or meeting. Questions are raised about past events, particularly regarding an assassination and personal loyalties. One character, possibly named Juna, is revealed to be an orphan, adopted into a noble house, challenging her understanding of her relationships and identity. The conversation is tense, with implications of betrayal and hidden motives. The dialogue continues, exploring themes of identity, loyalty, and the motivations behind past actions. Yuna asserts her independence and faith in someone, possibly a sister figure, despite revelations about her background. There's discussion of a curse that remains unbroken and speculation about the reasons behind seemingly inexplicable actions. The conversation touches on themes of sacrifice, protection, and the complexities of personal relationships in a politically charged environment. The conversation delves deeper into the motivations behind recent events. Questions are raised about why certain actions were taken, particularly in relation to a competition for the throne. There's discussion about the trust placed in religious leaders and the potential consequences of their actions. The dialogue explores themes of protection, sacrifice, and the responsibilities of leadership, particularly in relation to protecting the vulnerable in society. The discussion turns to the qualities needed to be a true king, emphasizing the importance of protecting the weak and maintaining faith. There's a challenge issued to prove worthiness for leadership, suggesting that words alone are not enough. The scene introduces a powerful artifact, a divine relic with draconic command, which will be used as a test of character and strength for potential rulers. The final scene sets up a dramatic test of leadership using a divine relic, a weapon of draconic command. The relic is described as a manifestation of mortal fears, particularly fears of nature and the untamed. The challenge is to conquer these fears and prove oneself worthy of kingship. The scene ends with the summoning of a dragon god, setting the stage for an epic confrontation that will determine the future leadership of the realm. A powerful force that ended the ancient world is mentioned. There's a call to action to create a country where weakness and ignorance are not sins, emphasizing the need for strength to shape it. The speaker rallies others to join in this cause, even if it means putting their lives on the line. A dramatic summons is made to Ice Valley creatures and chromatic dragons, described as harbingers of earthly war. The group prepares for an impending battle, acknowledging they have no choice but to fight back. The battle begins with instructions to target the enemy's weaknesses. Various attack commands are given, including fire-based attacks. There are warnings about multiple ailments affecting team members, particularly Jonah. The fight appears intense, with constant calls for healing and caution. The battle continues with more team members, including Jun, falling and needing revival. There are repeated calls for healing and warnings about ailments. The enemy is described as tougher than expected. The team struggles to keep everyone on their feet and healthy, showing the intensity of the fight. The fight escalates, with more team members falling and needing revival. There are mentions of fire attacks and warnings not to underestimate the dragon enemy. The battle seems to be taking a toll on the team, with constant needs for healing and revival. The battle rages on, with continued calls for healing and revival. There's mention of a frozen after death effect, weakening attacks. The captain is hurt badly and needs healing. Despite the challenges, there are moments of encouragement, with mentions of grand comebacks and determination not to give up. The fight continues with more healing needed and mentions of ineffective attacks against the dragon. There are moments of desperation, with calls for help and mentions of broken spirits. However, the team continues to fight, showing resilience in the face of adversity. The battle persists, with ongoing needs for healing and revival. There are moments of gratitude for help received and continued determination to fight. The struggle is evident, but the team's spirit remains unbroken as they support each other through the intense battle. The fight continues with mentions of frozen states affecting attack power. There are moments of effective healing and expressions of gratitude. The battle remains intense, with team members still needing support and healing. A significant moment occurs as a character, possibly a sister, sacrifices the last of their magic to a dragon. The battle continues with fire attacks and mentions of ailments affecting team members. There's a sense of a turning point in the fight. The battle continues with more fire attacks and healing. There are mentions of multiple ailments affecting team members. The fight remains intense, with constant needs for healing and support. The battle persists with ongoing attacks and healing. There are moments of gratitude for help and determination to continue fighting. The team's resilience is evident as they face the challenges of the battle. The battle concludes with the dragon acknowledging the team's strength. A character named Re prepares to take action, mentioning an enchantment on a crowd that has now worn off. Re speaks of forfeiting their life, leading to a serious conversation with Juna about past events. Re reveals a tragic past involving the murder of a royal figure when Juna was 12. They discuss Juna's dream of becoming a singer and how Rei saw Juna as a beacon of hope. The conversation touches on the complex political situation and the expectations placed on their family. The conversation delves deeper into the political intrigue surrounding the royal family. It's revealed that there was a plot to dispose of an illegitimate prince and frame another character named Louise. The motivations behind these actions are discussed, including concerns about the stability of the kingdom and the church's influence. The political situation is further elaborated, with mentions of the king's faltering leadership and the threat of national discord. Re discusses the pressure put on them to take action to protect the family and the kingdom, even if it meant committing a terrible act. Re explains their motivations for past actions, expressing a desire to protect Juna and seeing her as a source of hope. They discuss the nature of their family and the disappointments they've faced. Re reveals that they've been observing Juna, hoping she could be the one with the power they've been seeking. Re shares a vision they had when investigating Louise, describing a chaotic future overrun by humans. They express concern about Louise's intentions and the potential consequences if he becomes king. Re explains that this is why they called the dragon to test Juna and her companions, to see if they had the power to protect the land. Rei prepares to reveal the truth to the people gathered in Alterb using magic. They explain that this was the purpose of gathering the crowd and linking their minds. Rey begins to address the people, revealing the truth about the prince and the assassination attempt. Rey continues to address the people, confirming the legitimacy of the prince and revealing the truth about the assassination plot. As Rey speaks, it becomes clear that this act of revelation is taking a toll on them. The scene becomes emotional as Rey's life appears to be fading due to a curse. They entrust Juna with the future of the country and express admiration for her freedom and strength of will. Rey expresses regret at not having more time with Juna. The curse affecting Rey is suddenly lifted, but it's implied that this means Rey has passed away. The others reflect on Rey's actions, recognizing that they strive to protect their family and the faithful, even at the cost of their own life. Rey is acknowledged as a true protector who wanted to guide others. The speaker reflects on a beloved figure, likely a church leader, who is known for her genuine compassion and dedication to helping others. Despite her quirks, she was regarded as a saint by her congregation. The speaker expresses admiration for her selflessness and laments her passing, wishing she could have lived to see the impact she had on others. The conversation shifts to a political scenario where Bella, possibly the aforementioned church leader, has garnered support for a prince figure. The speaker acknowledges the difficulty of the situation but is determined to fight for their cause, inspired by the sacrifices of others. They recognize that while they may not have the entire nation's support, they have a significant following that rivals that of their opponent, Luis. The scene transitions to what appears to be a political debate or contest between two candidates vying for leadership. The first candidate, Count Lys, is described as an adopted nobleman with a distinguished military career who was once accused of attacking the prince but has since been exonerated. The second candidate claims to be the rightful prince, though his identity is uncertain. Despite this, he has gained considerable support, including backing from influential groups. The debate begins with a discussion on the nature of kingship. Lys argues that power is the essence of ruling, while his opponent, the claimed prince, presents a different view. The scene is tense, with calls for violence interspersed with political rhetoric. The prince candidate's party makes a final speech, denouncing Lys's vision as barbaric and promoting a more compassionate approach to governance, emphasizing protection of the weak and unity among the people. The debate escalates into a physical confrontation. Both candidates prepare for combat, each representing their ideologies through their fighting styles. The battle is intense, with magical and physical attacks being exchanged. The fight seems to be evenly matched, with both sides demonstrating considerable power and skill. During the battle, a shocking revelation is made. Lys claims that his opponent, the prince candidate, is actually a member of an ancient race called humankind or elder. This revelation challenges the established historical narrative and suggests a complex backstory involving different races and magical beings. The prince candidate is accused of using trickery to appear as a boy, when in fact he is allegedly a powerful being from this ancient race. The confrontation reaches a climax as Lys forcibly reveals the prince candidate's true form to the public. The transformation shocks the onlookers, who see the candidate change into what they perceive as a monster. This revelation throws the political situation into chaos, with people questioning the candidate's identity and intentions. Amidst the confusion, the candidate experiences an internal struggle, seemingly fighting against the transformation. The prince candidate regains consciousness, apparently having overcome the transformation. However, he is weakened and at risk of succumbing to the magical effects again. Lys declares victory, claiming the throne for himself. He reveals that the true prince is dying elsewhere, suggesting that the entire contest was a distraction. The scene becomes chaotic as people react to these revelations, and the candidate's supporters scramble to respond. The scene shifts to a different location, possibly a sanctuary or sacred place. A group arrives with the weakened prince candidate, seeking refuge. They meet a woman named GR, who is revealed to be the chiefess of the village and a caretaker of the prince. GR shares information about the prince's true heritage, revealing that he was born in the sanctuary and that his mother was the queen of an elder tribe. This information adds another layer of complexity to the prince's identity and the political situation. The narrative takes on a mystical tone, with an unseen entity addressing the prince or his companion. This being recounts the journey that has led to this point, including the attempts to overthrow Lys, the tournament to decide the kingdom's ruler, and the challenges faced along the way. The entity questions the purpose and identity of the one it's addressing, suggesting that their entire existence and memories might be artificial, created for a specific purpose related to the prince's mission. A profound conversation unfolds, touching on themes of memory, friendship, and personal growth. The speaker reflects on the journey taken, emphasizing the importance of experiences and relationships formed along the way. A choice is presented between accepting a challenging truth or abandoning the mission for freedom. The individual is prompted to consider their true identity and purpose. The narrative takes an unexpected turn as the protagonist's true nature is revealed. They are described as being born from the prince's desire to change the world, separate from his physical form. This entity traveled the world, embodying the prince's ideals and becoming his living fantasy. The revelation suggests a complex interplay between reality and imagination, hinting at a deeper purpose behind the protagonist's journey. The origin of the protagonist is further explained, linking their existence to a novel and a divine relic called Maga. This magical essence coalesced into physical form, taking the shape of an elder. The moment is described as an awakening, with the protagonist no longer bound to the prince's dream of utopia, but free to pursue their own path. This marks a significant shift in the character's identity and purpose. A mysterious voice, familiar yet unidentified, commends the protagonist for their guidance. The voice suggests that the protagonist's mind is clearing, prompting them to remember their true mission. This moment of revelation challenges previous understandings and sets the stage for a new phase in the protagonist's journey. The narrative delves deeper into the protagonist's past, revealing that their mission and departure were solitary endeavors. The prince, described as newborn to the land, needed a guide. The protagonist's memories were crafted to include the prince, creating a shared past and purpose. This revelation recontextualizes the entire journey, suggesting a complex interplay of identity and destiny. A flashback reveals the origins of the protagonist's mission to infiltrate the military and deliver a message. The scene then shifts back to the present, where it's explained that the protagonist's journey alongside the prince was orchestrated to save him through gentle, necessary lies. The journey is declared to be at its end, with the protagonist now free to choose their own future. The protagonist grapples with the revelations about their identity and purpose. There's a sense of both the prince and the protagonist coexisting within one being. This complex situation leads to a moment of introspection and the need to share this newfound understanding with others. The group processes the shocking revelation about the protagonist's true nature. It's explained that rather than a merger between the captain and the prince, the protagonist was a manifestation of the prince's will and consciousness. This explains the protagonist's lack of memories and their innate connection to magic. The concept of self as a manifestation of desires is explored, drawing parallels to archetypes. Lady Hulkenberg, a member of the Royal Guard, grapples with the realization that she has unknowingly been in the presence of the prince all along. She expresses deep remorse for her perceived failure to protect and recognize him. The prince, however, reassures her of her unwavering faith and crucial role in his journey. The group debates how to address the prince moving forward, with the prince preferring to maintain his title as captain. The narrative takes a dramatic turn with the appearance of Zorba, who reveals his role in the attack on the prince. Zorba expresses skepticism about the prince's identity and hints at Lord Luis's ominous plans. A heated exchange ensues, with Zorba dismissing the prince as an imposter and declaring his intention to eliminate him. The confrontation escalates, setting the stage for an impending battle. A fierce battle erupts against Zorba and a monstrous entity fueled by melancholia. The protagonist and their allies unleash their newfound powers, determined to overcome this obstacle. The fight is intense, with strategic attacks and defensive maneuvers employed by both sides. The protagonists demonstrate their unity and resolve, combining their strengths to face this formidable foe. The scene shifts to a transformed royal palace, where Zorba reveals his new, monstrous form granted by Lord Luis. He speaks of ascending to greater heights and embracing Maga, viewing it as liberation rather than something to be resisted. Zorba's transformation raises questions about the nature of power and the cost of achieving it. The protagonist and their allies are horrified by this willingness to sacrifice humanity for power. The confrontation with Zorba intensifies as he declares his intent to annihilate the protagonists, viewing them as unworthy of the new world Lord Luis aims to create. Zorba's transformation is complete, and he unleashes his newfound powers against the group. The battle that ensues is fierce and chaotic, with both sides employing powerful attacks and defensive strategies. The battle against Zorba reaches its climax. The protagonists coordinate their efforts, using a combination of physical attacks, magic, and defensive maneuvers. Zorba's powerful Maga-infused attacks pose a significant threat, forcing the group to adapt their strategy constantly. Despite the challenge, the protagonists remain determined, drawing strength from their unity and resolve to protect their world from Luis's twisted vision. As the battle continues, both sides show signs of fatigue. The protagonists persist in their coordinated attacks, seizing opportunities when Zorba's defenses falter. Zorba, driven by his belief in Luis's ideals, fights with increasing desperation. The intensity of the conflict reflects the clash of ideologies, the protagonist's desire to protect their world versus Zorba's commitment to Luis's vision of a perfect society built on sacrifice and power. A fierce battle commences as four samurai combine their strength against formidable enemies. They encourage each other, emphasizing the importance of teamwork and determination. The samurai utilize their unique abilities and skills, calling upon their blades and powers to overcome the challenges before them. The intensity of the fight is palpable as they face off against a powerful foe. The battle continues with increased difficulty as the enemy proves resilient. The samurai adapt their strategy, recognizing the need to exploit their opponent's weaknesses. A dramatic transformation occurs as their adversary takes on a monstrous form. One of the samurai proposes a daring plan to attack through the gaps in the enemy's bone structure. The group acknowledges the risk but agrees to proceed, demonstrating their resolve to overcome any obstacle. The conflict reaches a crucial point as the enemy, identified as Zorba, questions why the world rejects him. A poignant dialogue ensues, revealing Zorba's misguided loyalty to Lord Luis. The samurai try to reason with Zorba, explaining that his actions, though born from a loyal heart, serve the wrong cause. Zorba, however, remains convinced that Lord Luis is fighting for a better world, one that can only be achieved through destruction and rebuilding. Zorba's tragic backstory unfolds, painting a picture of a troubled individual who found purpose in Luis's vision. The samurai reflect on Zorba's past, recognizing signs of distress they had previously overlooked. They question whether Luis truly cared for Zorba or merely exploited his vulnerability. The group debates the sincerity of Luis's ideals, suspecting that his talk of equality might be a facade for more selfish ambitions. The samurai delve deeper into Luis's motives, questioning the true nature of his vision for equality. They recall a disturbing prophecy of a world where only the obedient survive, contrasting sharply with Luis's public rhetoric. The group speculates that Luis's intentions may be more complex than initially thought, possibly hiding a greater purpose yet to be revealed. Despite their uncertainty, they resolve to confront Luis directly and uncover the truth. The confrontation with Luis begins, revealing his complex motivations rooted in childhood trauma. Luis recounts the destruction of his village and his encounter with a benevolent prince who inspired his vision of equality. However, the massacre of his people by the church left an indelible mark, driving Luis to pursue a world of perfect equality at any cost. He rejects accusations of revenge, insisting his actions are for the greater good. Luis elaborates on his philosophy, describing a world free from the burdens of anxiety and responsibility. The samurai challenge his vision, arguing that it would create a society blind to evil rather than one that confronts it. They suggest that Luis remains trapped by his past trauma, unable to trust others or imagine a world of genuine human connection. Despite their arguments, Luis remains resolute in his beliefs, prepared to use his power to reshape the world according to his ideals. The final battle begins as Luis unleashes the full extent of his power. The samurai rally together, determined to stop Luis and protect their vision of a just world. The fight is intense, with both sides employing powerful attacks and strategic maneuvers. The samurai demonstrate their unity and resolve, combining their strengths to counter Luis's formidable abilities. The fate of the world hangs in the balance as they clash. The battle reaches its climax as Luis gathers an immense amount of magical energy. The samurai recognize the urgency of the situation and focus their efforts on interrupting Luis's ultimate attack. They coordinate their assaults, pushing themselves to their limits to overcome Luis's power. The intensity of the fight escalates, with both sides exchanging powerful blows and magical attacks. As the battle concludes, Luis acknowledges the samurai's strength, but refuses to abandon his ideals. In a desperate move, he decides to sacrifice himself to unleash the full power of the royal scepter. The samurai are forced to retreat, unable to approach Luis due to the tremendous aura surrounding him. They quickly formulate a plan to pursue Luis and reclaim the royal scepter before he can enact his final, potentially catastrophic plan. A dramatic scene unfolds as characters prepare for a pivotal moment. There's a sense of urgency and danger as they discuss the need to flee and take cover. Amidst the chaos, there's a poignant exchange about dreams coming true and the possibility of meeting again if they survive. The scene culminates in a decision to fly, followed by an acknowledgement of significant loss. A confrontation occurs between two characters, likely the protagonist and antagonist. The antagonist admires the protagonist's audacity despite losing everything. They discuss the royal scepter and the inevitability of battle. The protagonist declares their intention to become king, which the antagonist finds intriguing but dismisses as irrelevant. The antagonist speaks of ending the royal bloodline and ushering in a new age, rejecting the past and the concept of archetypes. The protagonist challenges the antagonist's vision of a new age, accusing them of being destructive and unable to believe in gradual, complex change. They label the antagonist a coward trying to escape reality. The exchange escalates, with the antagonist declaring that the time for words has passed, setting the stage for a physical confrontation. A battle begins, showcasing intense magical forces. The antagonist wields the royal scepter, a powerful artifact. They attempt to force a transformation on the protagonist, urging them to embrace their true form and become worthy of the new world. The protagonist resists, demonstrating remarkable strength and resilience in the face of this magical onslaught. The scene shifts dramatically. Someone is trying to wake up the protagonist, who seems to be unconscious or in a trance-like state. There's a sense of urgency and concern in the attempts to rouse them. The setting appears to have changed, suggesting a transition to a different reality or state of consciousness. The protagonist awakens in a strange place, greeted by someone who claims to have saved them. This individual explains that they are far away from the hellish world they left behind. They reveal that the journey and battles the protagonist experienced were all part of an illusion or fantasy. The real world, they claim, is vastly different and devoid of the magic and strife they've known. The conversation continues, with the mysterious figure trying to convince the protagonist that the world they've known is a mere fantasy, while the real world is the one described in a novel. They argue that accepting this reality will ensure everyone's safety. The protagonist, however, expresses reluctance to give up on the world they've known, despite its flaws and challenges. The mysterious figure persists in their attempt to persuade the protagonist, dismissing concepts like magic and otherworldly forces as fanciful ideas. They urge the protagonist to stay in this utopia rather than return to an unwinnable battle. The protagonist remains skeptical, feeling that something is unfinished in the world they left behind. A revelation occurs as the mysterious figure identifies himself as Odious, once a king and the protagonist's father. He explains that they are inside a book and he is a manifestation of discarded idealism. Odious expresses his desire to save the protagonist from the despair he experienced, even if it means keeping them in this illusory world. Odious, determined to prevent the protagonist from returning to what he sees as a cruel and unchangeable reality, prepares to use force. He summons the power of the royal soul, insisting that ideals born of innocence are poisonous. The protagonist, however, stands firm in their convictions, displaying a strength that surprises Odious. The confrontation intensifies as Odious realizes the extent of the protagonist's power and determination. He begins to understand that the protagonist's strength comes from their unwavering belief and the support of their allies. Odious contemplates the possibility that the protagonist might become a true king, uniting people across vast divides. Odious, impressed by the protagonist's persistence and belief in possibility, accepts their decision to return to reality. Before fading away, he entrusts the protagonist with his power, not as the author Mo, but as their father, the king. This moment marks a significant turning point, symbolizing the passing of legacy and responsibility. The scene shifts again, with the protagonist awakening, surrounded by their allies. There's a sense of relief and amazement at their survival, attributed to the help of various characters. The group discusses the magical healing that has occurred, linking it to the collective hope of people supporting them. The protagonist confronts Louise, acknowledging the world's injustices, but rejecting the notion of giving up. They speak about shaping destiny through belief in action, drawing parallels between singing and believing. The protagonist shares how a chance encounter changed their perspective, allowing them to hope for the best without fearing the worst. The speaker addresses someone named Lise, explaining that fairies chose to live in the sanctum because they admired humanity's ability to turn dreams into reality through trust. The speaker argues that denying the power of trust is wrong and vows to never let injustice be repeated. This sets the stage for a final battle to rebuild the world anew. The scene transitions to a climactic battle. Someone named Lise is becoming human, and the characters prepare for their final confrontation. There's talk of shattering and rebuilding the world, with opposing ideals clashing. Royal powers are invoked as the fight begins in earnest. The battle intensifies with various characters using their abilities and encouraging each other. There are references to a world of old perishing and a new world emerging. The fighters combine their strengths and target their opponent's weaknesses, showcasing teamwork and strategy in the heat of combat. The fight continues with more tactical moves and supportive interactions between characters. They use various attacks and spells, targeting weak spots and dealing with fatigue. The intense back and forth of the battle is evident, with characters stepping back, striking, and encouraging each other throughout. The battle takes a dramatic turn as the antagonist attempts to swallow people, turning them into puppets. The protagonists realize they must attack before more people are consumed. The fight becomes more desperate, with characters dealing with various ailments and struggling against the antagonists' powerful attacks. The battle continues with increasing intensity. Characters are dealing with multiple ailments, making the fight more challenging. They encourage each other, use various attacks and healing abilities, and try to stay focused despite the difficulty of the situation. The antagonist continues to be a formidable opponent. The antagonist's power begins to fade, but he refuses to accept defeat. His magic goes out of control, threatening his own sanity. The protagonists realize they must defeat him using his own logic, that the weak deserve to die. They prepare for a final decisive attack. The final phase of the battle begins. The characters unite their powers for a last stand against the antagonist. They use various abilities, heal each other, and encourage one another as they face increasingly difficult attacks. The fight is intense and requires all of their combined strength and determination. The battle reaches its climax. The antagonist questions why his ideals are not understood, while the protagonists continue their assault. The fight becomes a clash of ideologies as much as physical combat. The characters push through their fatigue and ailments, determined to emerge victorious. The tide of battle turns decisively. The antagonist is finally beaten, but refuses to accept defeat. The protagonists argue that people fight against fear and anxiety, and that their will is stronger than his ideals. They declare that fantasy is more than an empty dream. It has the power to change the world. A mysterious voice is revealed to be a character who survived in soul form to guide the protagonist. They explain that the power to change the world is within anyone with the will to do so. The battle is seen as the end of one era and the beginning of another, where people have found strength within themselves to overcome fear and anxiety. The scene shifts to the announcement of a new king. Despite some protests, the protagonist is declared the new sovereign. The coronation approaches, marking the beginning of a new era. The new king prepares to address his people, aiming to lead with determination and humility, acknowledging the challenges ahead, but expressing confidence in the collective power to create positive change. The new king prepares to make his first public appearance. His companions offer support and encouragement, reminding him that they are there to assist with any tasks. As the king enters, he is greeted warmly by his subjects. Despite his youth, he is called upon to address his people and share his intentions for leadership. The young king delivers his first speech, acknowledging he has much to learn, but expressing his belief that together they can change the world. He promises to face any challenge and work towards a nation where dreams are achievable. The king addresses potential opposition, stating that even if some disagree with him, they can always believe in their own future. His words are met with approval, with some calling him potentially the finest king they've known. The coronation ceremony concludes with the new king taking the crown himself, symbolizing a new era. The narrator reflects on the king's journey, noting how he came to understand the goodness of a hero's heart and became the ruler his people had hoped for. As this chapter ends, a new one begins, with the narrator expressing a desire to continue watching over the king's progress. 1 year has passed since the coronation of the new king. The kingdom has undergone significant changes. A mage academy, closed in the past, is reopening under the leadership of Lady Juna, one of the king's 6 partisans. This move represents a shift towards openness in magical research and education. The reopening of the academy and the construction of a new mountain road demonstrate the rapid progress made in just 1 year. The kingdom has seen numerous reforms in its first year under the new king. The church's influence in the palace has diminished, and leadership changes have occurred in the royal knights. Sir Hythlodaeus, a former thief and one of the 6 partisans, now leads the royal knights, a change that has been well received. The government has become more inclusive, inviting citizen representatives to parliamentary hearings. These changes mark a significant departure from the previous autocratic rule. The coronation of the young king is remembered as a unifying event, with heroes from different tribes celebrating alongside common folk. Some have dubbed it the Great Reconciliation. While acknowledging the tragedy of the previous king's fate, many hope he would be at peace seeing his son's accomplishments. However, challenges remain, and the true test of the new government is yet to come. Rumors circulate of the king wandering incognito among the people. The king finds himself dealing with mountains of appeals from the people, a task that promises to keep his desk eternally cluttered. Despite initial fears of unrest following the disappearance of the royal scepter, the kingdom has experienced a surprisingly peaceful year. More conflicts are being resolved calmly and openly, though this means more work for the king. The king's habit of leaving unannounced continues to cause concern among his staff. Life has changed significantly for many in the kingdom, yet some things remain the same. There are signs of improved relations between different groups, including those previously at odds with the church. The king continues his habit of wandering among the people incognito, valuing the opportunity to hear honest thoughts from his subjects. His companions, while supportive of these excursions, express concern about the risks involved. The king's companions discuss the challenges of balancing his desire to connect with the people and the need for security. They agree to accompany him on his excursions, recognizing the importance of these interactions while ensuring his safety. The king is encouraged to speak with Maria, a friend he almost missed during his wanderings. As they prepare to return to the palace, the group reflects on the delicate balance between royal duties and personal connections. A young girl, possibly Maria, expresses her belief in the positive changes occurring in the kingdom. She speaks of people finding their place and the importance of working together for a better future. The girl's enthusiasm and desire to contribute to the kingdom's progress deeply move the king and his companions. Her smile is seen as a symbol of hope for the country's future. The king and his companions reunite after some time apart, taking the opportunity to visit various parts of the kingdom. They discuss the challenges still facing the nation, including lingering traces of melancholia and the difficulty of hearing from people in distant regions. The king reflects on the lessons he's learned about the importance of first-hand experience in understanding his kingdom. Despite the progress made, they acknowledge the need for continued vigilance and hard work. As the group's presence begins to draw attention, they prepare to return to their duties. The king expresses his commitment to tackling the mountain of tasks that await him, demonstrating his dedication to his role and his people. The scene ends with a sense of purpose and determination as they head back to continue their work in shaping the kingdom's future. As a new year dawns, the king proposes another journey, this time to survey the lingering anxieties in the country. His companions express initial concerns about him leaving his duties, but come to understand the importance of this mission. The king sees this as crucial for helping people face their anxieties and move forward as a nation. His companions agree to join him, recognizing it as both a duty and an adventure. As they prepare to depart, the familiar pattern of the king's impulsive decision-making and his companions' exasperated but loyal support continues. A group prepares for a journey with some unexpected changes to the original plan. Only 2 of the 6 partisans are present, as some members decided it was unrealistic for everyone to leave the capital together. Hulkenberg and another member chose to join the adventure rather than try to stop it, reflecting on their past experiences fighting monsters and the importance of personal connections in gaining public support. The group discusses the importance of a ruler being visible and known to the people. They recognize that even if decisions are made justly and prosperity exists, people may struggle to trust a king whose face they do not know. The idea of getting out into the world again is seen as a wise move to ensure the king is recognized by everyone. Despite the smaller party size compared to their last journey, there's excitement about being on the road again. Concerns are raised about both the general and the Royal Guard's captain joining the journey. However, it's explained that it's natural for the Royal Guards to accompany the king, and there's confidence in the Corps' ability to function in their absence. The group emphasizes the importance of trusting others and delegating responsibilities. They express gratitude to each other and prepare to set off on their new adventure. A reflection on the power of fantasy and its role in guiding and inspiring hope is shared. The true purpose of royal magic is revealed to be seeking guidance from denizens of a hopeful land beyond their own. Gratitude is expressed for the courage, whimsy, and thrills that arose from answering this call and embracing the power of fantasy. The familiar feeling of setting out on a journey brings a sense of nostalgia and poetic expression from unexpected sources. The group marvels at the changes in their surroundings, noting how the absence of a certain entity, Sita, has restored order to Maga and even brought greenery to previously barren sands. They express appreciation for the new view and prepare to embark on their journey. There's a sense of excitement and anticipation as they set out to see the world anew. A heartfelt message is directed to a guest from a world never known, acknowledging that while their journey may be viewed as fiction, the hope is that the memory and the fantasy will provide strength. The group observes how their former base has now become a tourist attraction, symbolizing the changes that have occurred. They express their desire to see and experience the world in its entirety. The narrative shifts to a historical perspective, describing how in ancient times people prospered and perished cyclically. A book of ideals was written, presenting a vision of fantasy in which people place their trust, breathing new life into the kingdom. The power of believing in the unknown is emphasized as a force that can change everything. Despite the trials that lie ahead, there's an encouragement to move forward fearlessly into the unknown world.